Hey, good morning. It's a Monday, 1st of December, which means no cheating. You can now get your Christmas decorations out and start putting them up. Shame on anybody who's already got them out because you broke the rules and you may be put in prison like Hunter Biden. Oh wait, that didn't happen. Hunter Biden didn't go to prison and he's not. So let's talk to the best non-prisoner I know. Although we like the prisoner, the movie series. Chris Cordani. Chris, are you there?
I'm sort of there. Yes. Yeah. It's once again. It was. First off, I expected Hunter Biden to be pardoned. There are two reasons for that.
Yeah,
One is because if Joe Biden is telling you something, he's probably not telling you the truth anyway.
he's lying.
Right.
He's
The
lying.
other one. The other one is you really. I'm Italian. You can't go against the family no matter what happens. And he was going to do it. He just should never have said anything. It just said, "Look, he's my son. I'll deal with it myself," and then everybody would have been fine.
Well, I think that's the issue is that he lied and then the media picked up on the lie. I did. I was watching this morning as I was doing prep for the show. One of the supercuts. I think it's on my Facebook. I mean, on my text. Sorry, I'm easing this morning. Let me make sure. I'm going to tweet it out right now to make sure everybody can see it. I just tweeted it on X. I reposted it, and you guys can check it out too. It's like 9 minutes of libs literally going through and cackling about how, oh, we're the party of law and order. Nobody is above the law. Oh my goodness, DOJ just prosecuted the president's son, and he's good with that. It was all a cover up. It's a cover. This is not about rule of law. This is about the fact that these minor crimes. I know you may be saying, how can I say multi-million-dollar tax evasion is minor, but it's minor compared to the billions that were basically siphoned off from China and Ukraine to the Biden criminal family. It's a criminal mafia. And so this was small fish, like, yeah, go prosecute him for this small stuff. And of course, this was always a plan. He was always going to grant him amnesty or whatever you want to call it. He was going to give him clemency no matter what. Right,
Exactly.
Chris? I mean, this was always
Exactly.
the plan.
Yes, it was. And Joe, again, Biden would never go against his son in that respect. They made excuses
No,
for him for the full 4 years anyway.
right.
The media made excuses for him. I love this clip, by the way, when you sent it to me. So let's play a little bit of it. How
Let's
about
play a
that?
little bit. Yeah, it's good.
Presidential promise to put the law before family.
I said I
Oh, yeah.
abide by the
Oh,
jury
yeah.
decision. I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
Letting the world know that he will not
Oh, yeah.
wipe away the
Oh, yeah.
decision of 12 of his son's peers.
Was asked directly, and he has said he wouldn't pardon his son if he gets convicted.
Oh, no.
Let's
You
wait and
wouldn't-
see what happens if he loses.
Yeah, but I mean, but he said it.
He's going to get pardoned by his dad. There's no question about that.
The president
No question.
has ruled out pardoning his son.
Major commitment from the president, accepting the outcome of the trial and also pledging
Is
not
that a
to
guy?
pardon his
It's Scott
son.
Pressler, isn't it?
I It's before. I think it was after the transition. That's a good point.
Oh, okay. I love Scott.
But
We're
there's
just
a
joking, Scott.
There's a common theme to all this, and
Yeah.
I want to get a couple more seconds. Let's just do a couple more.
Yeah.
Fine.
Let's
So
keep
the
going.
challenge for him is really to continue to live up to his values when it was really personal, and he did that today.
It seems like a pretty normal, straightforward answer, but it takes new weight when we see what Trump is saying about the outcome of his trial. What we're hearing from other Republicans who say they don't accept the jury's verdict here in New York.
All right, now here's the common theme when it comes to these mainstream media types. When a Democrat says something, there's no need for investigation because that is the word of God. Journalists do not they don't do their jobs for the certain amount of time that a Democrat's in charge or the Democrats making statements because hey, why investigate them? We're one of you. And if we're the gatekeepers, we're never going to investigate you because you're always right. The other people are horrible and bad. And just like this woman said just now, when Trump was questioning the charges on his trial, well, they had to be criticized. He had to be lying, or he had to be doing this or that because it was the other guy.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's a double, as Chris, my friend Chris Plant always says, if not for double standards, they would have no standards at all on the left. And that's true.
But that's the standard, though. The standard's always been the Democrat is always telling the truth. Remember Fast and Furious?
Oh, yeah.
There was actually
Eric Holder.
Right.
Eric Holder.
there was very little coverage of it, and when there was, what's his name? Obama. What's the word? He claimed executive privilege, and nothing happened after that. There were
Right.
no
So, of course,
investigations, no
as a White
further
House directive,
discussion.
of course.
Right.
So Eric Holder. I wonder, did he change his name to Eric Holdhem? Because I think he's gay, but I don't know that. I don't know.
Hey,
So,
and
don't sue me.
right, and to bemoan the point, the White House, the
Oh, yeah.
Karine Jean-Pierre, your favorite lady,
John Luke lost, clueless. Jean-Luc clueless.
right? John Luke with hair. There we go. She reiterated that that Joe Biden would never ever pardon his son. It would never cross his mind to do so.
The president would not pardon or commute sentence for his son Hunter. I just want to make sure that that is not going to change over the next 6 months. The president's saying it would not.
It's still a no. It's still a no.
It will always be a no.
It's still a no. It
Still
will be a no. It is a no, and I don't have anything else to add. Will he pardon his son? No.
I'm going back to a song that Andy Preboy wrote a while back. It was, I guess, a few years ago. He wrote a song titled, and for those of you out there, Andy Preboy was the second lead singer of Wall of Voodoo. I've interviewed him several times. He wrote a song called "It's Not a Negative No." It's about when they were younger and getting turned down by record company or things like that or whatever else. But they were told at times it was not a negative no. Well, that's what this was, not a negative no.
That's right. I wish he was in Tijuana eating barbecued iguana. Just saying, but that's a different topic for a different day. So.
Maybe she's not allowed. There we go. Maybe it's cultural appropriation. But here's Joe Biden back in the day when he was a younger man, if you will, a younger snake.
Younger and yeah, I mean, I don't even know. I mean, he looks like Homer Simpson.
He does. Or he actually looks like the guy who voices Homer Simpson. If anybody's seen Dan Castellaneta in real life, he kind of does look a little like Homer.
He does.
Right.
All right, let's hear from Homer.
If you have a piece of crack cocaine no bigger than this quarter that I'm holding in my hand,
I love the way they do
one
this.
quarter of $1. We passed a law through the leadership of Senator Thurmond and myself and others, a law that says if you're caught with that, you go to jail for 5 years. You get no probation. You get nothing other than 5 years in jail. Judge doesn't have a choice.
Right. No suit for you.
You see that smirk, by the way? He still had that smirk back then.
The layers of corruption. Joe Biden. So what are we to make of this hypocrisy? I mean, this is stunning. I like we sit here on the program and we sit on the Hard Truth. Joe Biden was always going to do this. We were never like deceived because Joe Biden, it's in his nature. He's like, have I said Satan's left testicle? No, that's Obama. He's Satan's right testicle. That's right. So he's one of the two Satan testicles, just saying. And, he is evil. And by the way, let me ask this question to the Patriots. He seems to like water a lot, right? I mean, he likes going swimming in the nude. He likes taking showers with his daughter. I mean, is he like some sort of a hybrid Aquaman or something that's like an evil satanic figure that likes water?
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, he doesn't communicate with fish, but he communicates with fellow commies with his telepathy. So perhaps
that's true.
That's right.
True.
Yeah,
because I think that was Aquaman's special power was telepathy, like telling fish what to do. Right.
Right. And swimming underwater. I mean, the guy could stay underwater forever, and I guess he was able to breathe under there, so that's not so bad either. Hey, he always got a raw deal. Aquaman was pretty good,
I know. Well, Joe Biden's not. Joe is like the evil Aquaman. So.
Yes. Aqualung.
I wrote the song about Joe Biden. Man, oh man. That's a good song too. Yeah. But anyway, well, before I go further, I'm wearing one of our friends, Sea of Mud's t-shirts, as scheduled F them, which I think is back on the news, right, Chris? They're talking about getting rid of people. And I I guess we can talk a little bit now because it's within the scope of our discussion. They want to fire Chris Wray. Oh my God.
Oh, why not?
What's going to happen? His hair, Chris, we barely got to know your hair. I don't understand. But apparently they want to get rid of Chris. Why would that be, Chris?
I don't know. Perhaps a sea of corruption within the 3-letter agencies, especially his. I would say that's a start. That's only a start. By the way.
Okay. We're going to bring Angie in 1 second, but I want to finish this up before I bring her in. So Joe Biden had used the excuse in his statement about Hunter, saying that Hunter would have not normally been prosecuted. This is special. It's like, what? The guy, I mean, everybody else in his circle, Hunter's circle, are in jail or been convicted. He's skated. He's now, been able to avoid accountability forever. And yet somehow, it's the system's fault. Well, I think we all know, but this happened under Joe Biden's Justice Department. I still argue it's a cover-up. This is to cover up larger crimes that Biden's not want out. But I think it's very clear at this point. Chris Wray was part of the conspiracy to protect Hunter Biden, and I think that's part of what's going on here. What do you think?
Well, I believe pretty much anybody in that administration is and as the Democrats put it, a loyalist. These are people who aren't there. They aren't there to protect the Constitution. They're there to protect the corruption of the far left. They're on assignment to do so, and whether they're a loyalist or not, it's by punishment of never having a job again, or by punishment of I'm going to say let's blackmail. Or
we'll talk about that in a second.
Or they're in on it.
Well, yeah, of course. So let's bring in from the Metro-Dade crying room visit Angie Wong. Good morning, Angie.
What does that mean, Tony? Metro-Dade crying room?
Crying
yeah,
game.
weren't you down visiting the the Democrats' crying room and making fun of them, pointing and laughing?
That works. You could do that.
I don't do that, Tony.
Yes, you do.
I don't do that kind of thing. No, not at all.
They probably have a whole hotel set up on South Beach just for crying, like the Crying Hotel.
Listen, South Beach has turned red. I mean,
if
you look at if you looked at the recent New York Times map, everything trended towards Trump this round. So we're excited. We're going to keep working hard at it. I'll do my little campaign rhetoric, but it's R+5 right now, Republican +5. We're going to try to turn
done.
Double digits next year.
Well done. So, clearly it's going in the right direction, but what's not going in the right direction is Chris Wray and the DOJ. So let's talk about Kash Patel. Kash Patel seems to be, to put it mildly, basically lighting the hair of blue-haired Democrats on fire.
Oh, is that accurate? I love watching that.
I think they're going nuts over Kash. And I know Kash. He's a good guy. So...
Yeah, I don't know why they're going crazy for him. I mean, every time there's a new administration, this happens. But Kash Patel has, he has an axe to grind, and he's got a lot of work to do. Listen, it's funny because I'm seeing pictures of felons posting with Kash Patel right now, as if they're going to get any favors. It's hysterical to me. No, I mean, I don't know what to make of him. You know him way better than I do, Tony. I think they're all going to, have to push through a lot of Trump's agenda very, very early on.
So let me hit that real quick because he was a wingman with Rick Grinnell, my friend Rick, and what he and Rick had to do, essentially, and I was on there with Pete Hegseth. You might have heard of him, and Ed Henry. On the 6th of March, and I said the Russia collusion narrative it's a hoax. It was Saturday morning, and President Trump had just tweeted out about being wiretapped. It was true. We all know it's true now. But at the time, it was the beginning of the hoax. Like, we're and so what was happening at the same time I was doing that with Pete and Ed, he was with Devin Nunes seeing the real data. So we kind of came at this as not coordinated, just people like, hey, something's wrong here. He was on the inside, we were on the outside, but we all saw what was going on. It's like, this is a hoax. And it took 2.5 years, Angie, before everybody else caught up. So that's the pain that he and others had to deal with. It's like, everybody thought we were crazy, and maybe we are, but we were right about this. What do you think?
Yeah, and not only Cash, but most of the Trump nominees, they have about 2.5 months to get through as much as they can in the first year of the Trump presidency before. I mean, riffraff is around the corner. With these guys, with Trump, there's trouble around the corner. They got to push through whatever they can, and they have to prioritize what they can actually get done. A lot of it, I would not fault these guys for doing a lot of just covert action, a lot of things behind the scenes, no press, get it done. We know what the problems are in this country. We know that our elections are rigged. I've spoken to experts who rig elections, right? Yeah. So we know that happens. And if they can get to the bottom of it without that much fanfare, they might actually get things done.
Well, I want to hit that because Pam Bondi and Cash and Tulsi will have to work together on this because there's overlaps. Tulsi will be doing intelligence, but much of what has been done domestically was done by National Security Agency, which is a Pentagon asset. So to that point, Angie, how do you think they prioritize the next 2.5 years? Because that's going to be important. That's your point.
You're asking me this? I mean, I certainly have certain look, I think there's going to be what you show the public. That's going to be very favorable for ratings, and Trump loves ratings. And then you're going to have what's behind the scenes, like what actually needs to get done so that Democrats can never steal another election ever again. Yeah. Right. So you're going to have the release of J6ers, I believe, up front. That's going to cause a lot of noise, a lot of Democrats pulling their hair out. And then you're going to have, what's really going on, which is beyond election fraud. I mean, there's so much to uncover. I would say the honeymoon period probably ends for them by the end of Q1, beginning of Q2, because you're going to see all the booby traps come out again, right? So I know
those are being laid right now as we speak. We all know
like
that.
What have you been hearing?
Well, I've been hearing that the DOJ, especially with the idea of Cash coming in, are like burning things. We've seen we've seen the shredding trucks in front of DOJ. Yeah. So what's going to happen? Let me tell you because I've been on the inside, so I know how these things work.
Tell us.
These people are too stupid to cover their own tracks. So what they're going to do is they're going to try to mislabel things. Like if you remember the old days in the library, if you didn't have the Dewey Decimal System, you couldn't find books. Or they're going to screw with the system of control. They're going to basically misplace things all over the place so that they can come back and get them later, because they don't want to give up their infrastructure of evil. They don't. They've worked too hard to put it together, so they're going to be too stupid to burn it all down. They're not going to burn it down. They're going to hide everything.
In this day and age, can you even destroy anything?
No, it's the other thing too. It's hard to do. So what they're going to do is kind of mislabel everything. They're going to put, Hunter Biden sex crimes in the bin of Californians who waste rainwater, something like that. They'll try to hide things.
Okay.
And so the team that goes in has to understand the basic philosophy of everything's still here. It's just hidden. It's hidden in plain sight. Start figuring out where it's at. And now they are going to try to shed some things because they're going to have to, basically take the shredders and do the worst things. But even those are going to have residual evidence somewhere.
Yeah.
There's nothing dies these days. Mm-hmm. So that's what they're going to have to do. But let me ask you a question in addition to the one about this is, how soon do they release the Epstein customer list?
Well, so having done a little bit of PR, I would hold on those and release them when they need to turn the narrative. When Trump is facing a dark road, he doesn't know how to get out of it. You use that, right? You use something as splashy as the Epstein's list and slowly drip, 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 drip into the audience, into the world's public, so that it forgets about, what's coming around the corner for him, because there's going to be lots of that. So that's how I would do it. That's how I would slowly seep in, all the stuff.
What about Puff Daddy, would you bring in the Puff Daddy stuff? And
the P. Diddy list. There we go.
P.
I
Diddy
want to
list
see
and-
all of it. I want to see that. I want to see JFK. I want to see aliens. I want to see all of that stuff released in this
So,
administration. Yeah,
let's
I think
talk
it's time
about
we
that.
all knew. Look, we're not babies, right? We can handle it. We know it exists, right? So
Right.
now let's just
I know.
see how
I
it
know.
exists and
I
how
know.
long you've seen it.
I'd like to see what's going
I
on
have
too,
seen
because there are so many reports about. I guess the PC term is UAP now. I believe it is. So we'll be working on that. A show about that sometime in the near future. It's
Yeah.
but we'd like to,
Nick Pope.
But you're right. You're right. Save the Epstein list. This is what the Democrats would do, or any politician would do. You save that list. You save the Diddy list for when something goes a little awry, or maybe Putin says something and you want to kind of like knock that out a little bit here, or something. Again, the idea is even having it scares the deep state.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes and no.
It's scared.
I mean,
you don't think so?
But you got to do it. But see, this is my other point. You got to start doing something sometime. So I get what
Right.
you're saying. Hold it back. But some of the names in that list are probably going to be some of the people that get fired from the government. Just saying. There's
Good
going to
point.
be overlap. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I'm sure part of the exit plan there is that they have to keep quiet or else their names are released. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of push-pull, a lot of pressure, a lot of posturing. I mean, you're talking about an administration that's filled with lawyers, right? They know how to do this. They know exactly when to drip and when to pull back. So I think that's what they're going to do. Look, the public is hungry for a lot of this stuff, but wait for like some, bad economic numbers to come through or some bad job numbers to come through. Then you throw it in, right? So it's all strategic. And these guys are masters of strategy. So I have no doubt that we will get them. But it may, I don't know what's happening behind the scenes. There could be a lot of, I hate to say it, blackmailing happening behind the scenes as well. There's a lot of people who will just resign out of the blue for no reason, so you're going to see a lot of that stuff.
Well, that's my next question. How hard should Cash and Pam Bondi go with these people? Should this be something that I don't care if you resign, we're coming after you anyway? What do you think?
Ultimately, I would like to think that they will go after these people. Again, it's all about what's the most, prioritized item on the list right now. And I don't know if this is really all that far up. And look, it makes very well for like US Weekly, but I don't know if it really works to kind of push through some of the larger agenda items that we're talking about here. I think election fraud is going to be a big one for this administration. I think they're going to try to get this right, or at least have the perception of getting it right. I think that, J6 will be something fast and easy. They're going case by case, but that's an easy Band-Aid ripoff, given that, Joe Biden just pardoned his son. I think that was the deal that was made in the White House a few weeks ago when the two presidents met. They said, okay, I'm going to release Hunter and you do whatever you want with J6 and we don't go after each other. That's what was likely to have transpired there. And I think, and Trump's not going to say a word about Hunter. I don't think he needs to. I think everyone else is saying it for him. So Trump is going to hold back on that, let that roll, because there's going to be a day when Trump is going to be pardoning a lot of people himself, right? And he doesn't want any pushback on that.
Yeah. So, Hunter, let's talk about Hunter, because I was just saying before you came on, Angie, Joe was always going to do this. There was no doubt. And yet the media was saying, oh, we've got higher standards. We're the party of accountability. It was all a lie. We all knew it. We talked about it. You and I talked about it. We all talked about it here. But this is the issue. There's a larger framework of fraud that they're trying to distract people with this. We're talking about the China billion-dollar deals. We're talking about other deals outside of the ones we know about that Hunter was part of. Okay, Hunter's off the hook, so to speak. But does he give up his Fifth Amendment right? And can he be compelled to talk based on the fact that he can't be prosecuted now? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he could talk if he wants to. Look, it dates, his pardon dates back to 2014. So you have all the Burisma days, right? Yeah. You have a lot of foreign dealings, not just with China, but also I think Romania is thrown in there. A lot of this is to protect Joe Biden and Jill Biden and the rest of the family. So
exactly,
Joe should, there's nothing stopping Article 2 from Joe, well, pardoning himself, right? But in some ways, he kind of has through Hunter. And maybe that was the handshake. The handshake was leave Hunter alone, therefore leave me alone, Joe Biden. And we walk away and he'll just, go to the beach. And I think Trump's good with that. If, that opens up the lane for Trump to do pretty much anything he wants without any sort of repercussion, I think that's the right move. And I hope that's what was discussed. Of course, I wasn't a fly on the wall, but now that you see the movements between the two men, now you see that was the deal, right? Leave my son alone, leave my family alone. You do whatever you want. I don't care. In fact, here's what Obama was going to do to you. Oh, by the way, and here's what Hillary was going to do to you, right? He was just like letting it out.
I think that could be true. And I think it's true that obviously, and I've always argued that the whole Russia collusion narrative was going to be primarily used after Hillary defeated Trump. The Russia collusion narrative was to drive a heart into a defeated Donald Trump, to destroy his businesses and never allow anybody to presume to challenge the monoparty again. That's what I think it was all about. I've said this on a number of interviews with Tom Fitton over the Judicial Watch, but I'm saying that was what it was. That's why they laid it all out. They didn't know they were going to lose. So they laid it all out before the election in November of 2016, thinking they could use it to we're going to show you, buddy. So I think what you're saying about the fact that the issue regarding Hillary going after Trump is probably true. So.
This whole thing was laid out in a master plan, and they just constantly undermined Donald Trump, who is Mr. Teflon, right? He slid through all of it. In fact, almost every one of his legal cases are now gone. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of residual victims in this. I've noticed that those who were persecuted along with Trump, and he didn't really save anybody, right? He didn't really save the Peter Navarros or the Jeff Clarks or the Michael Flynns or the Rudy Giulianis. He kind of those guys kind of were sidelined. And that's what I'm seeing over and over again. In fact, there was a report that came out that Steve Bannon tried to go to Mar-a-Lago into the Nerve Center about a week or two ago, and he was sidelined. He wasn't allowed in. He had to go.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he had to go to the common areas, like where I go, by the pool and where the paid customers go. He was not allowed in. And that says a lot to me. I mean, I know he was fired back in 2017, but I thought they remained good friends. But clearly, he's not allowed anywhere near the Nerve Center.
That's interesting.
So, it's going to be some interesting dynamics. Let's go through some of the choices. I don't want to get personal because I know some of these folks. So that's interesting about Steve. I know Steve. We're acquaintances. We're not friends, but I did think he was in pretty good standing. Plus, I thought he would try to design some of the, maybe not the framework, because when I saw him at the White House in 2017, he had an office on the West Wing, about the size of my office here. As a matter of fact, it's about this size. Anyway, on every wall was butcher blocks of actions. That is to say that from the ceiling to the middle of the wall were a list of things to do. So basically his job, as far as I could tell from the time I was there, was to come up with agendas for them to do. So I guess what you're saying is maybe Steve's not going to play that same role this time. That's what you're saying, right?
No, and it's very clear. I mean, I know some of these guys as well, and I'm watching everybody and seeing who's going where and what's happening. And Kash Patel was part of that kind of crew. He got in,
right?
But Bannon, I don't know. I mean, look, his whole war room brand is based on being on the inside, right? It doesn't appear to be that way. Look, that could be a short-term thing. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not privy to it, but it was noticeable that, especially during the weeks of, appointments, he was not there.
Well, I had a little bird whisper in my ear about what was going on down there. And obviously Trump was taking meetings with potential folks. I'll just say that. I don't want to get into detail because I can't, but
Yeah.
and certain names have been thrown about. People are talking about things. So my next question has to do with that very thing. Kash Patel's been on the War Room a lot. As a matter of fact, that's one of the big criticisms I've seen from the left is that, oh, well, he's a Bannon guy. So what do you think about that? You think that's going to play out? The
No,
criticism?
I think
I don't think he's a Bannon guy. Just saying.
No,
I think he's very independent.
I think he holds his own weight. I don't think I don't think he's synonymous with the War Room. In fact, he's probably more synonymous with Epoch Times, who was his employer, than the War Room. I think he's an independent player. I think he's a very, very bright guy. I don't know him as well as you do, Tony, but I think he will get the job done.
I only know him a little bit. I mean, he's not in my circle. Like Blaine's in my circle. Blaine Holt.
I love Blaine.
Yeah. So, people who pay attention can figure out who my circle is if they're paying attention, just saying. So, but no,
people who stalk you will figure it out.
People who stalk me, pretty much.
You're stalkers there.
That's right. But I'm just saying that my issue obviously regarding Kash is confirmation, because they're going to start bringing up all this stuff. Now, for the record, and I'm not saying this because I have to, I don't. I think Kash is qualified. He's a lawyer. He's been in a number of key positions in the past administration. He actually understood what to go look for. The biggest criticism I'm hearing, he's not an FBI agent. I've said that too. It's like, okay, he's not an FBI agent. Sure enough. And they usually want someone who's technically capable of understanding how FBI works. And I get that. It's a very complicated, very corrupt organization. So do you think that his not being an FBI agent or DOJ guy is going to hurt him in confirmation? What do you think there?
I mean, the last one of those questions, look, without having the field work, I think it is difficult to relate to the rank and file. But ultimately, I don't think that's something he can't learn pretty quickly. The guy's pretty bright.
I agree.
I'm more worried about all the publicity he's had over the last couple of years when Trump was not in office. He made a couple of documentaries. He wrote a book. And he's done
he named names in the book about who he's going to go after. So that may hurt it. Just saying.
Oh, exactly. So I think that's going to be interesting to look at. I can't wait for these Senate confirmation hearings. I'm going to be like glued to my TV watching this stuff because so much comes out of it. Because, they're all under oath, right? So, all sorts of things can come out. And I don't know if he's crafty enough to really dodge everything, because there's been so much publications about him, his brand, his name, who he knows, who screwed him over, all this stuff, right? So that's going to be really just must-watch TV for me.
So I got to do a read here in a second, but I have one more question relating to this. So do you think Trump front-loading controversial picks for confirmation is going to help make other people's confirmation less dramatic?
I think that Susie
Asking
Wiles,
for a friend.
Yeah, exactly. I think Susie Wiles has the master game plan here. She's not going to allow for any bad press about Trump between now and February, right, to go through. She's not going to let like a Matt Gaetz stench linger for more than a day or two before she moves the narrative forward, right? So anyone who catches that stench, she's going to sideline and move the next story up. And I think that is how they have to do it. Look, Trump has to stay out of trouble just for another 50 days or so, right, before he gets in. He just needs to eat his cheeseburgers and hang out and play golf, right?
We had Mark Mitchell from Rasmussen on a few days ago. Brilliant guy. You need to talk to him if you haven't already. Really good guy. Their polls were very correct. They got, I'd say, 98% right, gold standard.
Nice.
He was talking about the Trump current polling is out. It's like astronomically positive. Everybody loves his picks. So I think you're right.
And they piss off the right people. No, I appreciate picks that piss off the right people. Everybody's upset. Hey, when Noah Yuval Harari stands up and says the New World Order as it stands is dying or dead, that shows the importance of the Trump.
No more bugs for you, Chris. No more bugs for you.
Or mealworms.
Bad day for crickets.
Well, good day for crickets. Think about that.
Not if you want to eat them. I mean,
Well, see, it's a good day for the crickets. If you
I
think
guess.
about it, right? Yeah. See?
Well, speaking of not cricket. So anyway, before I have to do a quick read, but Angie, I want to talk about democracy right after this
Okay.
segment because a lot of people are throwing that term around, and it's like that from the what's that show, Chris? The movie Princess Bride. I don't think you understand the word that you're using. I don't
Inconceivable.
Inconceivable.
I do not think you're using that
So
word.
anyway, we're gonna hit that next after my read. So anyway, we are sponsored by our friends at Colonial Metals Group. Check them out. Paul Stone, our friend Paul, runs the place. It's a good place. It's a place that you can find some answers to questions you don't even know you need to ask because, well, maybe you do know because you're talking to us. And we're telling you need to protect your life with gold and silver. So reach out, contact them today. We have a thing to scan too, right, Chris? We have the scanner thingy.
Yep, and that'll be coming up in just a moment.
That's right. That's right. Don't scan us. Scan the thing. Colonial Metals Group is your source for options that will allow you to solidify your portfolio. There it is. Scan that. Contact Paul Stone and the team at Colonial Metals Group. Go to http://colonialmetalsgroup.com/Ed-Henry. Good morning, Ed. Our evil overlord, I'm sure, is watching or hearing.
Morning, Ed.
So, good morning. So anyway, be sure and do that. Yeah, good morning, Ed. So be sure and do that. You will thank us later because no matter what happens, you're going to be protected. And protection is not just about having resources in times of difficulty. It's about making sure that these things grow. The record of gold and silver is great. I was just checking out the price of gold the other day. It's like, holy cow, you could buy a night on the town with Hunter Biden for one gold piece, right? That's like a night on Vegas with Hunter. Man. Anyway, let's not talk about Vegas and Hunter Biden. Let's talk about gold. So go check out Paul Stone and his gold and silver team. You will go right. You will not go wrong. And of course, tell them that Ed Henry and the team sent you. All right, back to democracy. So I wanted to cover this with you this morning because we have a lot of interesting conversations, and the Patriots love our conversations. So I've been listening to the
right.
Yes. Good morning, Patriots again. So I've been listening to the Bulwark. Do you know how crazy those people are at the Bulwark? I mean, they are certifiable. They are. This is the neocons. This is the Bill Crystals and they're Trotskyites. They're all like Stalinists with less well-fitting tunics. It's like they switched over to like beachwear instead of bow jackets. But it's okay. It's okay. They're still stylish but stupid. Stylish but stupid. That's probably their brand, right, Chris?
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah.
Anyway.
Domestical.
It's like gym socks with sandals.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. That's their crowd. So anyway, but they've been talking about
fanny packs, by the way.
That's right. Fanny packs with socks.
All at the same time.
Birkenstocks and Speedos. That's them. The Sprockets. The Sprockets. Oh, remember that from Saturday Night Live? Sprockets.
Yeah, that's the guy that Dieter. He designed the Jaguar commercial, didn't he? Yeah, he designed the Jaguar commercial.
That's right.
Touch my monkey.
Would you like to touch my monkey?
We dance.
Well, we're talking about Hunter again, but let's not do that. So let's get back to the Bulwark. So they're crazy over there. I was doing prep yesterday. It's like I had to like go take a shower after listening to these folks. Holy cow, these people are nuts. My point being is they're talking about Kash Patel being a threat to democracy. No, he's not a threat to democracy. First off, we have a republic. It's a representative republic. Even Google gets that right, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Go Google it. Form of government of the United States, representative republic. So that's the first mistake. Second mistake is if you actually remove, and there's some videos out there that basically switch out democracy. They always talk about democracy for bureaucracy. What they're worried about, Angie, is losing their deep state bureaucracy.
Yes.
Now, so let's be clear here. They're worried about losing control, the informal control they have always exerted between administrations because nobody ever cleared out the garbage. Nobody went in and said, "You're fired. You're fired. You get to retire. You get to retire." It's like Oprah. Oprah should do that. It's like, you get to retire. You get to retire. But that's what I think that's what they're afraid of, right? It's not democracy, it's bureaucracy.
It's not even democracy. It's unelected officials running
That's
the
what I'm saying.
country, right?
Yes.
They have all these
Yes.
people behind the curtains running the show. Some of them are
Exactly.
media. Some of them are overseas running other countries and running ours.
Exactly. That's why they're so
So-
intertwined. You know, it's a funny thing. This is the only time I wish we had Oprah on our side. This way, when the Diddy list, because check this out, when the Diddy list or the Epstein list gets read, she can actually point to people in the crowd and say, "You're on the list. You're on the list. You're on the list. and
You're going
on
to
the
jail.
list."
You're going to jail. You're going to jail. That would be good. I'd pay her $1 million to do that, by the way, if I had it. So
You know what? I wonder if there's still money left over in the Harris. Oh, nope, never mind. There aren't. They're 20 million in the hole, so never mind.
20 million there. She's still soliciting funds. I got a fundraising email from her recently.
Yeah.
what did it say?
I should just forward it to you. Basically, she thinks she's going to run again. She thinks that she's going to, like puff up those, her pockets with more cash because she's viable. I don't know any consultant who thinks she's viable after all of this, but okay, she can try. Ultimately, she's got a lot of IOUs. Maybe it's all going to Ukraine. I don't even know.
Well, think about this. Actually, I got one of those letters too, and I'll read it to you if you'd like. Let me see if I can find it here. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. All right, here it is. The Harris campaign may have lost, but we need the funding to run another campaign, because if we have some funding, we will actually have the funds to run another campaign, where the campaign in 2028 will have more funds.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I like that. That's actually word salad that I understood, right? Usually it's just like a ramble, a drunken ramble, but that was actually, I like that, Chris.
Yes,
Very
thank you.
nice.
So are you
Remember,
saying,
no
Chris,
one
they're
can take your
unburdened by
power.
what is? So are you saying they're unburdened by what has been regarding debt and are presenting the American people with a path forward that will represent a good path that they can depend on, and that paths are good, and debt is not good. So therefore, the path they will pick will be a good path, not a debt path. Therefore, the path of freedom will be the path they pick. Is that correct?
I love it. I love it. I love it. I loved it. Oh man. But see, when you guys deliver it, I understand it. That's the weird part. I don't know. Is it her like shaky voice that like makes everyone so like cringy? I don't
It's 'cause
even
we're
know.
cuter and we're not drunk. That's why. And that's the whole thing.
That's true.
That's
Not at
right.
9
Well,
a.m.
bingo. Well, I don't know. You are the Ed McMahon of our show, but just saying. I guess
Hey-o.
you're pretty sober. Hey-o.
No, I'm
That's
sober
right.
sometimes when I do this.
That's right. It's right. It's better. So all right. So but back to this issue regarding the democracy versus bureaucracy. Come on. We all know that this has been an amalgamation of the mono-state from Clinton on. I mean, well, I think from Bush 41 on. Bush, I know this from my friends who are Reagan guys. Bush 41 hated Reagan and hated the team. They were doing things to undermine the Reagan accomplishments the moment they came in. In 89, they were like already dismantling the Reagan agenda. And then you roll into Bill Clinton. I feel your pain, Angie. And he was very much into essentially triangulation and then implanting within the bureaucracy people like Lois Lerner. They did that all through up and down the chain, put in appointees who became full-timers. That was where a lot of the deep state came from. And then you had George Bush 43, who was just too stupid to know what was going on for the most part. I mean, he let Dick Cheney. You know what to say about Dick, right? Dick Cheney before he dicks you. Just saying. Not that there's anything wrong with that. So
And how about Colin Powell? I mean, that's another one, right? So,
yeah.
Think about it. Dick Cheney and Colin Powell are running things. And as the great George Carlin said, somebody is, up the,
And he was saying.
You bring up a really good point, and I wonder why. Maybe that's why Susie Wiles and Trump and Elon Musk at his side, they're bringing in a lot of new bloods, a lot of people who don't know anything about government,
Susie
or rather,
goes back to
what do you
Susie
need
goes
to?
back to the Reagan days. Just saying, Susie's roots are Reagan. Just saying.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, I can't tell you how I know this, but
I believe you.
He had some key positions with some friends of mine who were Reagan guys. So I've had conversations with them.
Yeah, and I
So,
like the new blood look. It works. It's fresh. But you're right. There's going to be lack of experience with a lot of the agencies, a lot of the field work, as we were
but
talking
that's not a
about.
bad thing.
No,
But let
I
me
think it's a
let
great
me let
thing.
me address that because a lot of the time I hear this, especially from the bulwark folks. Oh, they're not going to be loyal to the institutions. No, it's not their job
You
to be loyal
shouldn't
to the
be.
institutions.
Yeah.
Their job is to promote good order and discipline regarding constitutional guidelines of how we should run governance, follow the law, and then follow the policies of Donald Trump. That's it. That's the
Yeah.
job.
Well,
Yeah.
this
It's
is the
not to.
same this is the same mentality. The same mentality that sort of devolved from the 19th century into this century, where people don't
Right.
say, that's not the taxpayers' money, that's the government's money. There are people
That's
who
right.
actually say this in public.
Mm,
No, it's
Yeah.
the taxpayers' money. It's
Right.
the
yeah.
people's money. Right. But
Yeah.
that's the
Exactly.
same mentality, same exact
Yeah.
mentality.
Yeah,
So,
no, all of it. All of it. I love the new blood. I love the young energy that comes with the new administration. I love just the victory dance that we're doing around the country right now. There's so many people who can finally put on their MAGA hats and run out in the streets and dance, right?
yeah.
Because remember how suppressed we've been since 16, right?
Correct.
I mean,
Yep.
I think I've said it on the show before. There were days where I could not walk out in New York City wearing a red hat, forgetting what
Oh,
it says
sure.
on the hat.
I'm sure.
Oh,
So
yeah.
now we're free and now we could do what we need. I just hope that, I just hope we don't mess it up. That's all, because they're waiting for one trip up to
Well,
blow up.
Well, that is what's
so
going to happen. They're going to jump on that.
well, let's talk about that because I think that's a valid concern. But I would argue the hybrid model that Trump tried last time was what caused the demise of his administration. Because I mean, going back to my example, when Bannon was in the White House, right next to him was Rance Priebus, and I can tell you that their interests were not
Wow.
not in sync,
Wow.
not remotely. And so this brings me to Seb Gorka. Seb's going back in now. Seb lasted for I don't know what 6 months, 8 months, something like that, and then he was sent out. So I think there were little food fights going in there. There was the Seb Gorka, Mike Flynn group, the Bannon group, and Priebus group, and they were all kind of over. I was part of the transition team, so I saw this stuff. I don't get the impression they're going to have that amount of internal friction. What do you think this next time?
Ooh, you get a lot of show horses in this group, right?
Sure.
A lot of people
yeah.
work horses as well. I mean, they do both. But you got a lot of people who are well media trained. They're very well known in the media. So I think that's going to be interesting to see if you could turn off that hat and just get the work
Yeah.
done. And I think they are. I think these guys are crafty. I think Trump has chosen a really good team. I have a question for you guys. What do you think about pretty much all of Florida's political talent going to the White House right now? Because it seems like there's a lot of Floridians that's going to be over there. Yeah, you got the Trump loyalists, you got his friends, you got people he's trusted, which is great because he's worked with them before. So he knows exactly, how all their quirks. But you got a lot of Floridians going. And I think that's a Susie Wilds thing. I love it. I think it's fantastic. I think we have a lot of great talent down here.
Well, let's make sure Florida has enough talent in their, let's say, farm system to take over for this. That's going to be interesting, and hopefully they can write. Oh, there you go, Angie. How does Senator Wong sound?
Oh no.
Oh, there you go.
I like doing the behind the scenes stuff.
There you go. So,
Oh,
but that's what I'm saying. So people like you're going to be finding the talent then, and you're looking for the let's say the third, fourth round draft picks who can come up and take over for the Rubios and the Gateses of the world, or the Bondies of the world.
It's not just political, though.
Yeah,
Chris.
to join the administration.
You've got to start looking at people who can go into the infrastructure,
right,
and be grounded in constitutional thought. So I keep
that is
hearing
your
this
farm
about.
system, though. That is your farm system.
That's so they have the Chuck Schumers, the Nancy Pelosi's. I mean, their bullpen is AOC. It's like, really? Are you kidding me? What do you make of? So I like what Chris is saying, Angie. You're going to have to work on this. So will we all.
Right.
But we got to start looking at who's going to be coming up through the ranks of talent over the next 30 years. We got to look out that far. But let's look at the other side. You've got all these. I don't know how to describe Nancy Pelosi. I mean,
Nobody does.
Who will take over her flying monkeys? Who has that talent? I don't know. But,
Well, there's been a lot of people raising their hand, jumping up and down for her seat. I mean, she's still in Congress and she's, going to run again. But she's a master fundraiser. So the only person I think close enough to that would be two people, AOC or Debbie Wasserman Schultz. They're master fundraiser, wash her hair Schultz. Yeah.
That's right.
So they know how to fundraise. Not as good as Nancy Pelosi, though. I mean, no one can beat the money that Nancy Pelosi brings in.
That's true. So,
that's all it takes.
So right now, at the time we're taping this, they are in chaos because George Clooney is blaming Barack Obama for talking him into being a schmuck and doing that editorial, which set Nancy Pelosi's actions in motion to say, Joe, we hardly knew ye, you got to go. And so they're doing this blame game. But that's my point. They have so much power in conflict behind the scenes. They're not even paying attention to the future. There he is. There's George.
Yeah. Well, look, some people are. I think Senator John Fetterman is paying attention. I think he's kind of jumped up to say, hey, we have to go more moderate now. Forget all this crap that we've done for the last 4 years and having to vote in blocks. I think Bernie Sanders coming up today saying Elon Musk is right. We should, dismantle a lot of agencies, right? So I think Bernie Sanders is willing to step up and saying, hey, look, I'm independent. Maybe I'll caucus with the Republicans, right?
Yeah.
No, not that he'll do that.
It's funny. He probably won't, but he does know. I'm sure there's still a little bit of bitterness about 2016 from him. And there has to be something in there. And believe me, the man is not a socialist. He's a capitalist. He's just a capitalist within the socialist industry sector because he sells his books. He gets his money. Yeah, exactly. Right.
And remember, we don't pay a lot of attention to Vermont, but guess what? Not all, but a lot of Republican seats were won in the Vermont state legislature. Exactly. And even the lieutenant governor now is a Republican, and the governor is a Republican. So he sees Vermont, the green state, the Green Mountain State, shifting over into something a little bit more common sense-ish, maybe. I mean, they love their DEI and they love, their blue-haired
common
women.
sense and the left is not compatible. I just don't think. I mean, and think about this too for a second, Angie. Some of the folks, let's be brutally honest here. Donald Trump, Elon Musk, RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard. These people aren't Republicans. They are JFK Democrats.
Yes.
Who basically saw the light. Right.
I love JFK Democrats. I miss JFK Democrats.
They're now Republicans.
Which are now Republicans.
They're moderate populists, if you will, radical moderates. Yeah. That's what that's why I always called Donald. That's why I always thought of Donald Trump. He's a radical moderate.
Oh, Donald Trump was a Democrat for a long time in New York City, right? Yeah, look, I mean, you can't be a Democrat right now. And I think that's a soul searching that Democrats have to do before the midterms or not. I don't care. I mean, they can let Kamala run again. I don't mind. But that's what they absolutely need to do if they think they're going to save any single seat come the midterms, because you're going to have another Donald Trump election. Right. And that all those cards are already being put into place. I can't see how Democrats can still vote in the blocks that they have to in Congress because they're not the majority. They're going to make people and congressional members, Democrats, vote in ways that they can't justify in their own districts. So we're going to have another win if they keep this up in 2026. Well,
oh yeah,
but
I love it.
But you earlier brought up the fourth column of the government, or fifth column of the government, if you will, the media. Okay, the media is no longer representative. But
we are the media.
We are the media.
We are the media. But I'm talking about the mainstream media, the people that many are still conditioned to believe on a regular basis. Your ABCs, your NBCs of the world, people like that. They're the ones who are going to try their best. But basically, they're going to return to claiming to be journalists and try to do investigative reporting, or at least take a Vindman type and call him a whistleblower when he's really an accuser, by the way, and try to push that as the big story, just so they can let the Democrats or find a way for the Democrats to campaign on something for 2026. That's what that's what I don't like the idea of Trump having to operate that he has to be wary of that, but he does have
Well-
to be wary of that. This is where Angie's idea of the Epstein list comes in. And hold that off until one of these things comes up.
Well, I think you're going to have to do several things to process that. Not that I think it ought to be delayed. I think you're going to have to do an examination and validation of everybody on that list, because the other thing that's at play here is intelligence. There was intelligence community shenanigans going on. I think that's why he was protected initially, and
Makes
that's
sense.
why you had that federal prosecutor involved down in Florida, the guy that gave him the sweetheart deal. I think that's what that was all about. So I'm not justifying it, but I'm saying, hey, you're back.
I'm back.
Well, you're vertical.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing. I don't know. Sorry, guys. Technical difficulty here. I just
No, I'm
got
glad you're back.
Yeah,
So we're
but-
just talking about the Epstein list and when it should come out. So, Angie, I think there were shenanigans going on with the intelligence community that protected Epstein for a long time. That is to say that he was sharing information. So it's not going to be as simple as just releasing the list. I think you're going to have to do a validation of who gets exposed. I think everybody should get exposed if they're up to no good. But that's why I think it's going to take some time. What do you think?
But Tony, you know this game better than anybody, right? You collect the intelligence on everybody that's in the circles, and you release them when you need to, if you need to.
Right.
You get
Right.
them to vote the way you need to. Look, Kevin McCarthy was king
Right.
of this, right?
Right.
He would host the winter retreats or the spring retreats and collect intel on every single freshman congressperson coming in.
Right.
And then all
course.
of a sudden they vote when he needs them to vote.
Right.
So this game is played by almost every single government. This is not,
Right. Oh, I'm not saying it's new. I'm just saying that you're going to have to go through that. And then I think goes to my next point. It's going to be linked to a lot of politicians.
Oh, yeah.
Either directly or indirectly, to your point. It's going to be very much like House of Cards, except Kevin Spacey won't be in this episode, just saying. So poor Kevin.
Well, who would be the Kevin Spacey in this scenario? I don't
Oh,
know.
that's an excellent question. Who would be? Not
That's
McCarthy?
Martin.
You don't think McCarthy?
I'm not sure what the answer would be. I mean, it should be Trump, but I think it might be Susie Wiles.
Ah.
Interesting.
I don't know. I like the whole A team going in. So I don't want to like trash anybody, but I think that there is
No, I'm not. I think, but we have to kind of understand that the other side will trash these people with anything they have. So I
Right.
think it's good for us to talk about it up front and say,
Yeah.
this is the reality. Yeah, I'd
Well,
like to believe we are grounded in reality, unlike the other side who's always fantasizing. So just saying.
Well, but here's what that media does, and this is they don't have to do this flat out or blatant. What they have to do is find a couple of keywords to insert in every story. Remember the St. Floyd protests were mostly peaceful protests, right?
Yeah.
The January 6th protest, which was by all accounts mostly peaceful, was an insurrection. Now, Trump was never accused of insurrection, but your Jamie Raskins
Oh,
of the
yeah,
world
yeah,
are trying to
it's-
use the Insurrection Act because they figured they can let the media keep parroting the words so people think Trump's an insurrectionist, which would
Yes, that's true.
influence a good number not to vote for him. And I'm sure it had. And that's the key. The problem is, I'm sure people stayed home because they didn't want to vote for Harris either. I got a question for you. Do you think this guy, I got a winner of the internet guy, I stumbled across this earlier today. And this is actually kind of funny. So I believe this guy won the internet. Let's pull it up here. He said that, it's a guy named Chuck D, I guess, put up there. She says something about Jasmine Crockett shopping at some kind of store with her and found one of her eyelashes.
Wow. That's like Godzilla size.
You've seen her on she does wear those, doesn't she?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
it's someone should
we gotta-
have died.
Yeah, we're going to start winding us down because we're in an hour, but we could go on talking about the Democrats and what's going to happen. But let's circle that square and end it on that note. So, Angie, when you see the list comes out, it will come out. If Cash is in, it's going to come out. Pam Bondi. Do you know Pam, by the way, Angie? I know Pam a little bit.
She's pretty sensible. She was a great AG in Florida.
Yeah.
I think it's a great pick. Look, she's not going to be as controversial as Matt Gaetz. She has the bona fides to do this job. She's done the job in Florida. And she is really a true loyalist to Trump. So I know she's got his back every which way. I love it. I love that pick.
I worked with her on the last campaign.
Oh, good.
Pam and I were friendly. Yeah. So I have not talked to her since she's been nominated, but I think it's a great pick.
Yeah,
So
they're
that's
afraid of
the
her
issue,
confidence.
though. So this is my last question before we go. A lot of the people that's going to be on this list are going to be serving members of the bureaucracy or Congress. So the moment their names come up, they're attached to a crime. Is it going to be called revenge or justice if Trump and Pam Bondi go after him? What do you think? I know what the answer is.
Take that question again. So you're saying that those who have committed crimes, it will come up during the hearing or when they're appointed?
No. I'm saying once Cash is in,
Yeah.
once Pam is in,
Yeah.
they start going and looking at this list. You start having inconvenient names. You know, maybe Chuck Schumer's name is on there. I don't know. What happens then when the DOJ then says we're going to launch off and go investigate these folks? Is that going to be considered revenge or justice?
No, Tony, you and I and Chris, we all know people on that list. Okay. I don't think.
Well, not personally,
Well, not
but
personally.
we know.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Not personally.
Maybe the Diddy list, but that's another story. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'm sure when you see the full list, we're going to recognize a couple of people, right?
Could be.
They're all, my best guess is no, they're not going to go after everybody. I don't believe that they want to. They may make an example out of a few people, just enough to put a scare in. But ultimately, you know, I think there's going to be a lot of protection as well. And only because Donald Trump knows everybody. And he knows that they're going to be useful to him somewhere down the road. So I don't think that the full shebang is going to happen.
All right. So I got one last question. We got to let you go.
Right.
One last one. So is Joe and Mika on the list?
Ooh, did they go to one of the white parties?
I don't think they were allowed. They're probably too boring.
Oh, I don't know. Joe gets around, interns. Just saying.
Well, I do know that they had the Rachel Maddow tennis tournament over there.
Look, let's see if they flee to Canada in the next couple of days, right? Look,
They won't.
have a network.
They're not. None of these people are going to flee to Canada. They're going to flee somewhere else, but they're not going to flee to Canada. And again, that's because Canada will take a lot of their wealth upon entering.
Yeah,
They'll
go to Greece. They'll go to Greece because Greece doesn't have extradition with the United States. That's where it's going to go.
Yeah.
Ecuador.
Thanks. Go there. Go to Greece. Yeah, look, we're going to see a lot of things, but ultimately, don't forget, we are also still in the media matrix, right? Just because Trump's going to release all this stuff doesn't mean that we're still not in the matrix. There's still going to be a lot of stuff happening in the background. And that's why we need shows like yours to kind of do the inside politics.
And yours, prime roast.
And we got to roast. Yeah, we got to roast these people a little more too. They deserve a little more of that.
Why don't you call it skewers? Because you skewer people. That's like, you could have like chicken and steak and everything else on the skewer. So.
Yeah, I like it. I like that. On the skewer. We got to get you back on with us, by the way.
Yes, please.
I'm happy to do it.
All
well,
right.
I sign in today at 5:00 as a commissioner. Today's my day. So I sign in. I take the oath and everything. So we'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah.
I may have to go do other things. I'm being told. So we'll see.
Love it, Commish. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Angie. Thank you, Chris.
Yes.
Always great discussion. Look, I think the folks love the fact we're going through this as real adults, not trying to sugarcoat anything. So we'll see how it rolls.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. Well, I don't think there is sugarcoating. I think we tell a lot of good stuff. It's again, no dramas, but lots of fun.
Yeah. Donut coating. How about that?
Huh?
No, we're donut.
Because I like donuts. So I'm just going to use it. I don't care. I'm just making it
I
up.
had I had one of those. I went to 7-Eleven yesterday for coffee. Don't tell anybody. But I went there and I got one of those Homer Simpson donuts. I didn't get a Hunter Biden donut. I don't know what even those look like, though. Just saying.
That sell very well. Hunter Biden donuts.
Yeah, that has the white frosting on the top, right?
That's right. That's right.
Well, I do owe you guys some sort of food item. I always I always threatened to bring coffee and stuff, and I never did. So I feel terrible.
Well, that's okay. Well, we'll have coffee. Well, we'll do more tomorrow. We hope to have you back soon.
We will.
Yay.
Angie, thank you for being here. We always enjoy the Patriots love your appearance and discussion. And look, we got a lot of work to do, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember the movie? I'll just close out with this. Remember the movie, The Candidate? Robert
Yes.
Redford.
Love it.
Yes.
So at the very end, he's sitting there in the hotel room. Is like, what do we do now? It's like we're at that point. It's like, what do we do now? We got work to do, you know.
There's a lot of work to do. Again, we can pull it off because we can pull it off from both sides. It's not just one side doing it. We'll call out people if we had to, but I think everyone's well behaved right now.
That's right, and we'll stay well behaved until we can. There he is, the candidate. There you go.
Cool, man. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you.
Hey-o.
Thank you, Patriots. So
Great.
Chris and I will be back tomorrow, right? It's another day of information, entertainment, and education, right? We'll be doing all three in
So
equal
far,
measures.
Right. And
That's
so far this week, we have Karen with us tomorrow. Paul's with us tomorrow. Dr.
good.
Corsi is with us on Wednesday, and he has new news out of California.
Are
This
they
is
leaving
gonna
the
be
union? Are they
and-
defecting? Are they
Nope,
taking
but-
are they going off to join another country?
Nope,
That'd
but
be good.
to your surprise, there. Well, no, not surprised. I'm being sarcastic here. There is something fishy going on behind the scenes in the let's say coding era or the algorithm.
Well, Gavin Newsom, I think,
Yep.
is pretty scaly, and I think he smells like a fish. Not that I know this for
Ugh.
thing.
It's like the stelter effect, I guess, right?
That's right. That's right. Well, you know, he is called new scum for a reason, as Donald Trump calls him. So I think scum is probably pretty stinky, right?
Yeah, right.
Probably.
But here's the funny thing. Jerry, Dr. Corsi's gods5stones.com may actually get a little more power here, or at least get a little more chance to actually take care of this investigation. If maybe Kash Patel gets in here into the FBI, there's a pretty good chance people like that could work together on this. And this is going to be
I think that's a great idea.
it's going to be a lot of
We'll talk
uncovering
about
going
that.
on
That's
in the
right.
next few years. So that'll be an interesting discussion for one.
Well, look at Hunter Biden. Look at all of his uncovering. Man, oh man, it was all nude. So that's right. So there'll be more of
They
that.
fought wars over such things. I mean, they're fighting wars over such things. Oops.
Well, we'll see what happens. All right, folks. Patriots all. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Back same bat channel, same bat time. Right?
That's hey-o. That's it. Perfect.
Hey-o. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.